Hello, hello. How is everybody tonight? Millie, as long as there's no T-splaying. Oh, come on. Have a little bit of faith. You know that's not going to happen again. Knock on wood, knock on wood. How is everybody tonight? Phil, hello. I'm going to say T-shirt, but I expect Sam to shock me. Well, what do you think? It's a sweater. My historic travel sweater. Mess, let's go. Cod, yes, Titanic Town. Cringy, hello. ELD, hello. Fox Starline, howdy. Cat, hi Sam, how are you? I'm doing okay. A little tired. I got my second COVID shot today, so I'm a little bit tired today. You know, the same typical symptoms, you know, your arm's a little sore and everything like that. Antoine, 7 days left of school. Well, congratulations. Summer break, right? Show, hello. Matthew, hello. Job boss, hello. Let's see. Lane, hello. Thank you. I love your videos. Thank you so much. Joe, hello from Texas. Hello from West Virginia. Wow, 85 people already. Kat, oh, you're going to be in pain tomorrow. I hope not. I've been taking Tylenol. I've been taking vitamins, you know, just trying to prep up my immune system. But honestly, I don't think that's going to help since this is a vaccine, not a virus. Well, I guess you could say it's a dead virus, but whatever. Let's see. William, hello. A1, hello. DJ, good job on Costa. Get more ship models. Oh, come on. Do I really need more ship models? Andrew, hello from Northern Ireland, UK. Hello from West Virginia. I cannot wait to start traveling again. I am. Hello from the Philippines. Hello from West Virginia. I've actually been working on trying to figure out how to get up to Canada because I'm really wanting to visit Halifax. I thought it would be extremely cool to actually visit Halifax for my Halifax video. I can't get into Canada right now. There's just no way I can get across the border yet. The Little Good Doctor, did you check out my channel yet? I have not. I apologize for that. Nathan, the state of Titanic's stern breaks my heart. Yep, it does. It's falling apart. 91 people. Wow. All right. We're going to need Millie. Hello from Argentina. Hello from West Virginia. Millie, welcome back to the stream. Okay, guys. So we're going to need to make an adjustment already. We already got to put slow mode on so I can keep up. All right. There we go. Wow. 99 people. Holy cow. Gemma, I live in Canada. That's awesome. I really want to come up there. I really want to visit Canada. A1, I live in Canada. Gage, I visited the Titanic Museum. Perry, Titanic has always been my favorite ship. That's awesome. It's one of my favorites too. I've got my little models right here. We got Titanic. We've got Britannic. We got Lusitania. You couldn't see Lusitania very well. Jonathan, you are a madman, man. Thank you so much. I honestly cannot thank you enough for all your support. What did you say? Good evening, Sam. The second shot is a doozy. You'll start noticing the side effects within a few hours. I already feel it. I got the shot around noon today, and as of right now, my arm is just sore. But I've heard that I'll probably get sick tonight, so at least tomorrow is a day off. I was going to try to start working on part 2 of part 2 of Costa, and but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that because of the shot. So we'll just fingers crossed. I got the, I believe it's the Pfizer. Is that right? Pfizer shot. What about all of you? Anybody who's gotten that shot? Have you all gotten sick afterwards? Let me know in the chat. Gage, my favorite ship I like is the Lusitania. Well, I've got the Lusitania right here. Here's the Lusitania. I made a video about that ship. Unfortunately, I was traveling during the anniversary of that, or I would have made a video on it. Joe, congrats on getting the vaccine. Thank you. Brave, you felt good after it. Okay, so I'm a little worried about it, but we'll see. Worry pain. Nope, I got Pfizer. Oh boy. Let's see. The Little Good Doctor. Have you heard of Histobrick? Yes, I have. The Lego bricks that Tom Linsky did. Yes, I know about those. They're really cool. I believe they're sold out though. Jerry, I had Pfizer and didn't get sick. Well, that's good to know. Maybe I'll get lucky. Kyle, why was the Titanic breaking in half not believed for many years? Did any surviving victims witness say they never seen it break? Okay, Kyle, I don't know how many people said it didn't break, but I do know the majority of people said it broke. And I'm telling you, it kind of freaked me out the other day. I was actually reading a testimony by actually went online and found the entire written testimony of Charles Yalkin, the Mr. Alcohol chef and everything. I found his whole testimony from when he was at the inquiry. And no joke, in the log, he said he was in the pantry on A deck, I believe. And he said that he heard what sounded like metal breaking. So it's like when he was in there, he could hear the beginning parts of the breakup. And the biggest testimony of people who said the ship didn't break was from Lightoller, and it was from Archibald Gracie. But you see, both of them were not in places to see what the stern was doing. Lightoller was fighting for his life right around the first funnel in collapsible B, and Gracie was fighting for his life right by the grand staircase. But these two people, they actually went with their testimony, and it's like they kind of brushed over everything else. You know, it's like, I honestly think that there was a little bit of a cover up there because the White Star Line wanted people to, you know, have faith in their ships, you know? So I think there was a little bit like they wanted to romanticize Titanic. They wanted it to be like, they wanted the public to have this image of the ship sitting in this mythical, pristine condition on the seafloor. So they didn't want people to think it broke. I think there was a little bit of a little misdirection in that, but because most people said it broke, you know, and this went on, as far as I know, right up to the point when the wreck was discovered. There was actually another Titanic survivor, I believe it was in the 60s or 70s. And she was at this big Titanic convention, and she said the Titanic broke in half. And then this young guy in his 30s stood up and went up to her, covered the microphone, and said, "It didn't break. It was just where you were. It's what you saw because the funnels fell." I'm like, you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's crazy. You're going to get, I've already been ranting about that for a little while, but yeah, you get my point. I don't know why it kept going for so long. I just saw a $5 chat. Okay, there it is. Got it. The cutting room floor, $5. How would Britannic, thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. And Jonathan, thank you again. Both of you guys are awesome. The cutting room floor, how would Britannic/Olympic have done over time had Titanic not sank and design changes put in place, particularly in the Britannic sinking? Okay, wait. How would Britannic/Olympic have done over time had Titanic not sank and design changes put in place, particularly with Britannic? Well, as far as I know, I'm not a big expert in the designs of the Olympic and what they did to redesign the ship over the years. But as far as I know, the only thing that they did to Olympic was the lifeboats, because the ship was already done. I believe they changed the Britannic around a bit due to the sinking. Did they make the watertight bulkheads higher on the Britannic due to the Titanic sinking? I'm not really sure. I know that they did put in the new lifeboat gantry davits due to the sinking. At least I'm 90% certain. And, you know, honestly, I'd have to do some research into that because I'm not 100% certain on that. But I do believe they made changes to Britannic due to the Titanic sinking, but they couldn't do much with the Olympic because the ship was already done. Did anybody in the chat know, did they actually work on the Britannic's watertight compartments due to the sinking of Titanic? Christopher, Historic Travels, please make a video of the dropping of the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That will be something that I'm going to cover in World War II when I get into World War II history, but I don't know if I'll get to the atomic bomb right away since I'm more focused on maritime stuff, but I'll probably mention it during World War II. What I was just researching lately, I don't know, have you guys ever heard about the Demon Core nuclear experiments that they did? I watched a crazy video about that the other day, the Demon Core nuclear experiments. Tony, a number of mods were made of the Olympics double bottom extended up, requiring a smaller diameter and center boiler. Oh, really? I'd have to look into that a little bit more. Thank you so much. The Strange, Sam, where did you buy your models from? Actually, they're all from Titanic Honor and Glory store, but as far as I know, the store is down right now. So you can't order these right now, but they're under a major back order. So basically, if you order these, it'll be about a year before you get them. Let's see. Jacob, hey Sam, what would you do with the SS United States if you owned it? I would do everything in my power to restore the ship. You know, do fundraisers, do everything I could to restore the ship. That would be because The United States and the Queen Mary are the two last Golden Age ocean liners left in existence. And honestly, with the way the Queen Mary is, I think I would prioritize preserving the Queen Mary over the United States just because the Queen Mary is in much better shape, but the Queen Mary still needs work. So that's my opinion. You know, I want to say both ships, but I mean, if I think I would rather own the Queen Mary and try and do something with that. Holly, Sam, did you see the photos I sent you on Discord of the Lego Titanic? Actually, I think I did briefly. I didn't dive into it a little bit, but I think I did see them. And they were really cool from what I saw. Thank you. You did a good job with that. Vortex, please make a video about the RMS Empress of Ireland. It's on the list. I will get to it very, very soon. Georgia, watch that tea. Okay, look, it is. I keep it very far away from my table. So don't worry, it's nowhere near my laptop. I have learned. Elemental, Historic Travels, you need to make a It's on the List shirt, and I'll look into a shirt that's going to the Titanic Museum in October. Did you see the book on the Lusitania, Dead Wake? Yes, I did, and that's really cool. I read that book. The Epic Show. Hey, Sam, do you think you would make a vid on the HMS Centaur? Also, I love your videos. Wait, I just lost the question. Make a video on the Centaur. I believe we've looked into that before. I'd have to double check, but yeah, I wouldn't mind making a video on most ships. Christopher, I have anxiety on that tea. Don't worry, it's fine. Gemma, can you do more Titanic vids? Well, I do have a lot of Titanic videos on my channel already. I'm not really sure you've noticed. But yeah, trust me, Titanic is going to be a constant theme on this channel. We'll never completely drift away from that. Even if I start traveling and doing all that stuff when COVID settles down, I mean, Titanic will always be something we're going to talk about here. Squat, did anyone ever explore the Stearns Dirk's third-class stairwell with an ROV? Didn't Cameron find gates in the ship, and how do we know they weren't locked? As far as I know, I don't believe they were actually able to do any exploration in the interior sections of the stern. I believe the stern's interior sections, for the most part, are just gone. I could be wrong about that, but honestly, I think it's just a pile of metal. You know, there's not really any interior sections in that part of the ship left that would be recognizable as part of the ship. It's like a bomb went off. So I don't know for certain, but that's what I'm pretty sure. The cutting room floor, what are your thoughts on the fate of the SS American Star? Isn't the American Star that ship that, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it that ship that actually was the sister ship to the United States, and they were towing it, and the tow line broke and the ship beached itself, and it was there forever until it just eroded away? Am I thinking of the right ship here? I think I am. Let me see. SS American Star. Let's see. The SS American Star. Yeah, this is that ship. The SS American Star. It beached itself because the mooring line broke, and it just kind of decayed over time. Yeah, very sad story. Let's see. The Strange. When are they going to get the Marconi wireless system from the Titanic? Probably. I'd say it'll have to be when the world calms down. You know, I mean, everybody's getting vaccinated and things are starting to happen. And I think we're starting to get more mainstream. Certain states here in America are actually starting to relax the whole mask thing. So I think we're starting to move in the right direction, but I still think it'll be some time. I'm really, really hoping that I can actually travel to Canada soon. I would very much like to visit Canada and head straight up to Halifax. Let's see here. Show. The Bulkheads reached up higher to D or C deck, I think. Not really sure if they reached higher, unlike Titanic, which was only E deck. Okay. On Britannic, I believe they were B deck, I think the Bulkheads went up to. Let's see. James Paul Moody, Historic Travels. Are you going to do a video? Not sure about that one. Let's see. John, who do you find more responsible for the Titanic sinking? Honestly, I think the Titanic sinking was just a series of bad decisions, you know, or maybe dumb luck, you know. I think the Titanic sinking, there really wasn't any one culprit. It was just a series of unfortunate events that all lined up to create the perfect disaster. That's what I think happened. Hi, Pen Pop. Yes, I did get both of my shots. I got my second shot today. Holly, when you set up a Discord server and wait, what now? Okay. Let's see. Kimberly, voice crack, yes. Perry, why didn't they just make Titanic's watertight doors to B deck? Honestly, the whole reason was because they didn't want to have people inside of the Titanic to have to travel up and over the watertight bulkheads in order to get from one section of the ship to the other. They wanted it to be, they figured E deck was fine since it was above the waterline. And think about it, E deck is pretty good because the Titanic could handle the first 4 compartments breached. So honestly, I understand why they did it at the time because honestly, just think how bad of a collision you need to have 4 watertight compartments breached. Titanic was just a freak scenario where 6 compartments were compromised. So, I mean, sure, we can say they should have put it up to B deck or something now in retrospect. But, before Titanic, honestly, I can't think of any, I mean, I could be wrong here, but I can't think of a scenario where that much of a ship was compromised. I mean, just think about that. When the Titanic hit the iceberg from the front of the ship to aft of the first funnel, I mean, this is a huge amount of space on the Titanic's hull that was compromised by the iceberg. Just huge. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, what do you guys think? Because, I mean, if we didn't know that Titanic sank and you say 4 compartments in the front, that sounds pretty good to me, We've got 2 more super chats. Awesome. We got 5 from Robbie. Thank you very much, Robbie. What are your thoughts on the 97 Titanic movie? I know it gets mixed reactions from Titanic fans. Also, have you been to the Belfast Museum for Titanic? I have not been to Belfast, but I really want to go as soon as I can. As far as the James Cameron movie, I know a lot of people like to hate on it, but I don't do that at all, because even though the Titanic movie does have a love story and it's a romance movie and everything, the whole thing with Jack and Rose is to make you care about somebody on the Titanic. They want you to know the story of these people so you actually feel the impact of the sinking. A Night to Remember, which was made in the 50s, is the best movie when it comes to being historically accurate to the Titanic. And while the movie is sad, we're watching a disaster unfold. We don't really get to, we don't have that same, what's the right word? Emotional connection, I guess you should say, with somebody. Like, we don't know these people intimately, but we feel like we intimately get to know Jack and Rose. And then when Jack dies, it hits us even harder, And everything around Jack and Rose, James Cameron did everything he could to make it as historically accurate as we knew in the 90s. And he wanted to make the movie even more accurate, but he didn't have time, as long as Titanic is. Anyway, you guys owe it to yourselves whenever you get a chance to go back and watch some of the Titanic movie's deleted scenes because they are super good. All right, we got another super chat from SC Good. Thank you. If you had the cash, would you take the dive to Titanic? Being involved in mining, I wouldn't take you for claustrophobic. Well, I wouldn't take you for claustrophobic. Well, actually, I'm not I do not have claustrophobia, and I actually worked on a surface mine. I did not work in an underground mine. I was on the surface in the deserts of Arizona. If you give me 2 seconds here, I will try to find a picture to show you guys where I worked. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I would love to go visit the Titanic. I would go in a second if I had the chance. Yeah, there we go. So this is a shot from the mine. I was on a surface mine, and those are bulldozers, haul trucks, all that stuff. So yeah, I would love to go dive Titanic if I had the cash for it. But right now, I've got a mortgage and other adulting stuff that needs more immediate concerns. James Duffy, 10, thank you so much. Just to let you know, I had a great-great-granduncle on the Titanic. His name was Jack Foley. Wow. He survived, and he was quartermaster. There's a placket of him, and I know I'm not going to pronounce this right, Youghal, Ireland. Forgive my pronunciation. Really? That is really cool. I'm actually going to save him to my notes, and maybe we will get a video about him in the future. Thank you so much, man. It's always cool to meet people who have relatives that are from the Titanic disaster, or actually were on board the Titanic, Did he survive the sinking? Do you know this? Video ideas. I'm going to put him into the notes. That's what's so crazy about the Titanic is even though it was 109 years ago, it wasn't so long ago that we still do not feel the impact of it. People still feel what it was like. They still have that shock. I remember in the 20-year documentary with James Cameron, The great grandson of Isidore and Ida Strauss was there, and he actually had the locket that Isidore had on him during the sinking, and it had a picture of his grandmother in it, and it just that touched me. That really touched me. Christopher, Historic Travels. Did the Queen Mary deserve a new hull? She is in bad shape. Honestly, yeah, she needs to be totally redone. I don't know about putting an entirely new hull on the ship, but she needs a lot of work. And honestly, they really do need to do that, because I am very worried about that ship. Train, the Queen Mary has a starboard list. Does it? I haven't heard that. Let's see. Brian, if you cover Halifax, there was a 1917 explosion caused by two ships colliding. If you cover Halifax, touch on that. Oh, trust me, the Halifax explosion is really on my list. That's probably going to be the next off-topic of Titanic video that I make once I'm done with the Concordia. What did you guys think of my Concordia video? Did you guys like it? Let's see. Goosey, hi, Sam. Will you still do research on the First Fleet? The First Fleet was the first ever British fleet to Australia. It's already on my list. Thank you. And yes, I will cover it at some point. Griffin, will you make a video about the RMS Oceanic? It's on the list. I really do need to make that shirt that's on the list. Abby, Historic Travels. Were the gates locked during the sinking of the Titanic? No. I can't guarantee that every single gate was unlocked, but they did make a point to actually go through and unlock as many gates as possible. I actually did make a video on that. If there were any gates on the Titanic still locked, then they weren't like main gates, like maybe gates that were tucked away in a corner somewhere, and it wasn't on the main access route for the passengers. So yeah, any passengers locked behind gates, there was very few and far between of passengers actually being stuck somewhere when they couldn't get up. Sorry, guys. Every time I do one of these live streams, it's like I always start coughing because I'm talking a lot. Let's see. D Fox. Hey, Sam, have you ever watched a Star Wars movie before? If so, what were your thoughts? Oh, of course I've seen Star Wars. As far as Star Wars goes, I'm a bigger Star Trek fan. And I guess you could say I respect the Star Wars films. I enjoy them. They're fun to watch. But at the same time, I prefer Star Trek a little bit more. That's it. And I am not crazy about the new movies. I am not crazy. Now, when I say that, I like the prequels to a certain extent. So 1, 2, and 3, I think they're okay. I'm not crazy about the Phantom Menace, not really. But 4, 5, and 6 are the best. 7, 8, and 9. The Force Awakens I thought was okay. But what was it? The Rise of Skywalker, or the last, I forget. The second movie of the new series, I did not think Luke would act like that, and I disagreed with that. And the new movie, the last movie, whatever it was called, I guess that was The Rise of Skywalker, whatever. But I wasn't crazy about it. Yeah, the Emperor Palpatine survived being thrown into the reactor of the Death Star. Yeah, how on earth did that happen? Anyway, let's see. Blondin, thank you so much for the 5. Have you had a chance to look into the Kurzik sinking? It's a very good yet sad story for the crew on board. Let me double check that ship. That rings a bell. I feel like you've asked me that before. Let's see. The Kurzik. Let's see. The Kurzik submarine disaster. Nuclear power submarine. I have not had a chance to look into this, but I feel like you have asked me before. Yeah, this one's on my list, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I haven't looked into it, but I will. Let's see. Dominion. Historic Travels. Palpatine survived in the Legends material too. Really? How on earth would you survive being chucked into the reactor of a Death Star? Seriously. The cutting room floor. Was Britannic ever in the same place as Olympic? And what happened to Britannic's passenger fittings that were never used? As far as I know, the Britannic's furnishings were put into hotels and stuff. And I don't believe Britannic and Olympic were ever together. I mean, I haven't seen any pictures of it, but who knows? I'm not an expert on it. If there are any pictures of Britannic and Olympic, I would love to see it. Let's see. Ian, did Palpatine sink the Titanic by forcing it into an iceberg? Possibly. Very, very much possibly. Let's see. Elemental Gaming. You should listen to the Lusitania song. You have to search it up. There's a Lusitania song. Okay, I will take a look at that. Let's see. Oh, we got another 5 super chat from SC Good. Thank you so much. Are you a little excited that the wooden structure disintegrated might open up more treasures on the Titanic? Yeah, I mean, I hate the idea that the Titanic's actually disintegrating, but who knows? It all depends on what they are actually able to recover from the ship. Like I told you in my video, I think we do need to start recovering items from the interior sections of the Titanic, but at the same time, tread lightly, because I don't want people to just go in and gut the ship. I mean, still treat it with respect, don't damage it. And I think there needs to be a actual process where we talk about what items we actually recover from the wreck, like what they did with the radio. Let's see, George, a Titanic gaming from Star Wars. Okay. Let's see, Jealous, Historic Travels. What do you think is the reason behind the formation of the forward tower what do you think is the reason behind the formation of the forward tower and the aft tower when she breaks? I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. Are you talking about how the mast fell? That didn't really have anything to do with the break. That was the water flow. Let's see. Gaming. Sam, can you please do a video about John F. Kennedy? Please, I can't wait for you. Yes, I'm going to cover Kennedy. Do not worry. Let's see. Dancer Girl, $5. Thank you so much. Some money for you, sir. Thank you for your awesome dives into history and just in general. Thank you so much, Dancer. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Spartacus, $5. Thank you. Hit me up if you need help researching World War II. World War II history, especially naval combat, is one of my forte. I will probably do that. Just make sure you're in the Discord, and I'll do an announcement, and then just talk to me when you see it. Xbox, hey Sam, how are you? I'm doing okay. Anticipating getting sick later because I got my second COVID shot. ELD, I don't think I have any ancestors that were on the Titanic, but my grandparents started a coal mining strike in Wales. Really? That's cool. That's really interesting. I I don't have any ancestors on board the Titanic. As far as I know, I did a trace on my ancestry once, and the furthest back I could get was the 1600s. And my earliest ancestors actually came over to the America then, and I believe I had an ancestor in the Revolutionary War. Are you let's see. Gemma, have you seen a Titanic horror film? I have not. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Oh, and you should be involved in the Titanic Honor and Glory game. They could use your knowledge. Maybe someday. I haven't actually talked to any of the people that are currently on the team. The only person I've actually met from that project is Tom Linsky, but he's not with the team anymore. But yeah, who knows? Maybe one day I might work with them on something. That'd be really, really cool. I'm a big admirer of their project. James, he survived the sinking of the Titanic. He was actually called up by Lightoller specifically for his health, and he was on the Olympic also before the Titanic. That's really cool. That's very interesting. I'm glad he was able to survive. Landsy, whoops, late. No big deal. You're here now. That's the important thing. All right, Rishi, why did Titanic not avoid the iceberg? Because they saw it too late, and they didn't have time to turn away. Kimberly, wait, Tom Linsky isn't doing Titanic Honor and Glory. No, he left the project. Justin, what is one item that you would love to be recovered from the Titanic? That is easy, the clock in the Isidore and Ida Strauss cabin, because it looks like there is an actual time preserved on that clock. And if they could get that clock out of there, we could actually know what time the room flooded, and we'd be able to figure out, a little bit more about the sinking rate of the Titanic. I would love to actually see that item actually recovered from the ship. Phil, Historic Travels, we need a video on the Hatfield McCoys. Oh, yeah. I'll probably make a video about them at some point. They're big in West Virginia stuff. Let's see. Mr. Aiden. Wait, I just lost it. What do you think would happen to the Titanic if it never sank? It would sail a big career and then probably be broken up in the 30s. Hippie. I just saved for my first model ship. It's the Britannic HMS, and I am so happy to get it. Where do you get your models? I bought mine from the Titanic Honor and Glory store before they went down. The store is offline right now, at least last I checked. And yeah, that's how I got mine. I got mine all pre-made. Nation, from the images that I've seen, it looks like the hand. Wait, what? Okay. Tony, you should do a collab with the Mysterious West Virginia. I'm not familiar with them. Backyard Garage, welcome to the stream. Welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while. Hey, show. Are you a fan of Light Yagami? Oh, man, Death Note. Death Note's a good show. Let's see. I root for L. Let's see. Spartacus. What would have happened if there was no coal fire and no need for the coal transfer? The Titanic would have struck the iceberg and the ship would have capsized and sank. That's exactly what would have happened if there was no coal fire. The ship would have capsized and sank. SC Good, thanks for answering my questions. Enjoyed your videos daily. I had to join the captain's tier on your Patreon. Everyone, please give this man. Oh, SC, were you the? Oh, okay. I've been meaning to give you a shout out, man. I did see that somebody did join the captain's rank on the Patreon. Thank you so much for that, man. Like honestly, thank you for all the support. I was meaning to reach out to you. I'm glad you showed up in here in the stream so I could thank you personally. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. There we go. The cutting room floor. What are your thoughts on the 1/200 scale trumpeter model? From what I've seen of it, it's really cool. I would never want to build it just because of how massive of a project that would be. But from what I've seen of it, it looks really cool. Dan, can you make a video about D-Day? I will cover that when I do World War II. William, hey Sam, will you make any more videos about the Wilhelm Gustloff? Possibly. Depends on if there's any more information that I can dig up on it and tell more of the story on it, you know? Coco, historic theory. Maybe if the Titanic had more than enough lifeboats for everyone, but the same thing happened to the Titanic. Wait, what? Theory. Maybe if the Titanic had more than enough lifeboats for everyone, but the same thing on the Titanic happened on the Lusitania, but the ship never listing. I'm not 100% following what you're trying to ask here. I'm sorry. RMS Celtic, on the collision from the Olympic to LV-117. Was that the submarine that the Olympic hit? I believe that's what it was. Classic. Sam, are you going to do anything on Chernobyl? Yes, I will. Don't worry. Tech. Hey, Sam, are you going to do a video about the Carnival Triumph? Oh, my gosh. The Carnival Triumph. I was actually thinking about mentioning that in my Costa Concordia video where Costa and Carnival were owned. Did Carnival Triumph happen before the Concordia? Let's see. Hang on. Let's find out. When did the Carnival Triumph fire? When was that fire? Carnival was February 10th, but it doesn't say the year. What year was the Carnival Triumph fire? Does anybody know in the chat? What year did the Carnival Triumph? Let's see, what year was the Carnival Triumph fire? 2013, so it was later. It was later. Okay. Yeah, that'll be on my list. Let's see. Michael, we want Empress of Ireland. We will get to it. Do not worry. Poggers, I'm pretty sure a new Britannic movie is coming out soon, but I don't know if it's true because I saw it on TikTok. I would be skeptical because most people don't even know what Britannic is. I'd be very skeptical about that. Leslie, U-20. Yes, I am definitely going to make a video all about U-20, Captain Spiegel and all of that stuff. I read all about that in the Dead Wake book. Crazy. Backyard Garage, when do you usually get on Discord? I'm on and off most days. You know, you just got to be lucky enough to catch me. I was on there a little bit today. I was playing Portal 2. Portal 2 is an old game, but I love it. I haven't played it in a very long time. DJ Groom, have you played Sid Meier Pirates? It's an older game. Probably. It sounds familiar. Wasn't it an overhead pirate ship game? Dead Wake dealt with U-20 quite well. Yes, it did. I don't remember if it was U-20 or not, but they were talking about essentially essentially during what the British were doing to actually try to catch submarines. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Let's create a plus. And anyway, essentially what they were doing was that the British were actually building these submarine nets. Like they'd have these two buoys floating in the water and they'd have this big net under it. And I believe it was U-20 that sailed into it and the net actually caught the submarine and dragged it down. But they were actually able to wiggle the submarine free. I'm pretty sure that was U-20. Yankee, thoughts on Poseidon? Which one, the new one or the old one? Padme, older games are better than newer games. For the most part, I would agree to that. I think a lot of the newer games now, they're run by greed. I can't stand microtransactions. Now, if you want to put microtransactions into a free game like Fortnite or something, and it's actually perfectly even playing field, like you can pay money or not, it's just cosmetic items, I don't really care. But then if you pull an EA and basically make it to where it's very hard to do anything if you don't pay the money, I strongly disagree with that, especially if it's a $60 game. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Don't they do like a lottery with the FIFA games? I don't play any of the soccer games, but I've heard that they have this. I heard that, like, don't they have like a lottery system in FIFA? Let's see. Dance, even as a non-gamer, I agree microtransactions suck. Yes, they do. That was a really bad thing to bring in. Bagger Garage, yeah, pay-to-win games is bad. Yes, it is. Honestly, I don't even like it with the Battlefield games. Now, I do like Battlefield, but it's like they make it hard to progress, or you can pay to unlock all the stuff. Like I'm trying to play fight in a helicopter, and I don't have all the weapons, and I get shot down in 2 seconds, or I can pay to unlock the weapons early so I can actually fight. I think that's Whoa, 25 super chat from Random Meme. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Sam, I have 2 questions. One, when would you do another video that is not related to ships like Pompeii video, like maybe a video on the Revolutionary War, Fort Moultrie? I'm not familiar with that. And what is Titanic hit to icebergs? Okay, I am going to do another video on something that isn't maritime at some point. I don't have an exact date for that yet, but I will do something at some point. And as far as your second question, let's see. What if the Titanic hit 2 icebergs? Well, I would say most of the damage would be from the first impact, you know. The second impact, I doubt it would have done that much damage because, okay, so Titanic's at going 21, 22 knots. She's sailing along, strikes the iceberg on the starboard side. She's just drifting along. They turn off the engines. She's coasting and then hits another iceberg or something. Depends on how the iceberg was. Maybe if it's underwater iceberg, you know, an iceberg you can't see, it's just floating right on the surface. That would damage the bottom of the ship and possibly make it sink quicker. I don't know. That's a pretty vague second question, but I hope I answered it pretty good. Thank you so much for all the support, man. OD, how many videos do you have? I think I'm at like 102, 103 by now, which is an absolutely insane number. I never believed that I never thought that my channel would get to this point in this amount of time. I never did. Hard to believe I started only really working on this channel back in October. Let's see. Mexican, hey Sam, do you like or hate modern mega cruise ships like the Symphony of the Seas? I don't hate them. I don't like them from an aesthetic standpoint. I think they look more like giant floating malls than cities. But honestly, I think they're very cool, and I would sail on them. Now, when I say I don't like how they look, I'm just a fan of the traditional look. And that's why I really like how the Disney Dream, the Disney ships look, because they have that modern ocean liner appeal. You know, they are not modern, classic ocean liner appeal. The new ships are they're massive. You know, they're like cities on the water. So they're cool, and I would love to sail on them, and I would love to check them out. But they don't have that classic ship charm. You know what I mean? I like them. I think they're neat. But if you want my opinion on the aesthetics of them, I prefer the old school design. So Disney, the Disney ships may not be anywhere near as big, but they get a big plus for me based on how the ships look. Captain Alex, Sam, I'm wondering, will you get a 3D printing pen to make model ship models? Interesting. I never really considered getting a 3D printer. I just never really thought I'd have a use for one. But maybe I need to make some room in my computer room. I don't really have the space for it at the moment. So, Austin, do you like the Queen Mary 2's looks? Yes, I do. I like the Queen Mary 2 because it has that ocean liner charm. It may not have 2 funnels or anything, but when I look at the Queen Mary 2, it looks like an ocean liner. It looks like a vessel. Those Royal Caribbean Oasis are the Allure ships. They're like cities. I remember that I saw the Allure of the Seas once when I was on a Disney cruise. We docked in. Was it St. Thomas, I believe? I think it was St. Thomas. And the Allure was there, so I went over to look at it, and I'm like, this thing is just massive. I mean, like, I felt like an ant looking up at this massive ship. And I'm like, this is a ship, you know? Brandon 5, thank you so much. Hi, Sam. Why build the watertight bulkheads higher and higher rather than simply capping them off at water level? Well, the higher the watertight bulkheads are, it's the higher that the ship would, it's the higher the water would have to go to spill over the tops of the bulkheads. So in the case of Britannic, because they made the watertight bulkheads higher, the Britannic could actually stay afloat with the exact same amount of damage the Titanic had, because the Britannic, I don't know why I'm using my Titanic model when I have a Britannic model right here, because the Britannic would just sink down so low, the water would reach the top of those 6 compartments and the ship would just stop sinking. Now, the Britannic could only remain afloat with 6 compartments breached if the ship remained stationary. So like she'd just have to sit there and then she'd stabilize. But with the watertight bulkheads, with the portholes open and the engines re-engaged, yeah, that really accelerated the sinking of the ship. But that's why they do it, you know. Because anytime if you put it just at the water line, the ship sinks just a little bit, you know, the water could spill over. Mike, have you been to the Titanic exhibit in Tennessee? Yes, a very, very long time ago. I think I'm feeling that shot a little bit. Let's see. Thomas, can you do a video on the Hindenburg? It's on the list. Matthew, what happened to the Titanic's lifeboats? I believe most of them were actually put onto other vessels. You know, they were actually moved to other ships, and then the nameplates changed. Do they have any of the confirmed? Like, do we know for certain of any Titanic's lifeboats? Like, do we know exactly where any of them are? Because I don't even know if any of them still exist today. Gemma, can you do a video on the Titanic too? Maybe if that actually ever comes up, if that actually gets built, we might talk about it. But let's see. Dan, can you make a video about the Cold War? It's on the list. The Cold War is actually on my list. Okay. Brendan, what if the Titanic sunk from a U-boat? It would all depend on how the ship got sunk. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a torpedo, it's an iceberg. It really doesn't matter. Wherever a ship is compromised, that's where it's going to sink. So if you have a torpedo detonate midship and 3 compartments are breached, the ship is just going to drop like a rock. If you have a torpedo detonate at the back of the ship and more than 2 compartments are breached, the ship's going to sink. It doesn't really matter what causes the hull breach, it's just where, you know? Excuse me. Brandon, I meant capping off them so the water cannot spill over the tops. You know, I've heard that before, and I'm not an expert on that, but I feel like that even if you cap them off, like, and had no way for the water to go anywhere, I feel like even if it was below the waterline, the bow would still sink down so low that you would have pressure problems. And I feel like the water could maybe force its way out. I'm not an expert, I'm guessing at this, but even if you had a way to seal off every single section of a compartment, and I mean, I'm talking air vents, I'm talking, you know, I mean, like, I don't know how you could completely isolate a compartment 100%, but I feel like pressure would be a concern, but I don't know. I'm not an expert on that part. Let's see. Scott, will you ever do a video on the SS Capicona? I'm not familiar with that. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this ship. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, let's just do this. SS Capicona. Let's see. SS Capicona was on an island. It was a German ocean liner, a fishing ship. Maybe. There's a lot of vessels for me to cover. I may get to it at some point, but it'll probably be a bit. Titanic Gaming, Sam, if you were going to build a Lego ship, which one would you want me to build? Oh, if I'm asking Queen Mary, build Queen Mary. There's a ton of Titanic ones. Do something different. Cams, will you do a video on the Andrea Doria? Yes, you missed my intro the other day on the Costa Concordia video. 360 Nomad. Capicona was a prison ship full of concentration camp prisoners. Really? I need to look into that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just a little tired tonight. Let's see. Bay, what if the Titanic sank close to land? Honestly, it would probably pull a Britannic because the Britannic sunk in 400 feet of water. And honestly, I think the Titanic would have just sunk just like the Britannic did. You know, she's just sailing along. She starts to capsize, or, well, I don't know if she'd capsize. She'd break in two and everything. But honestly, the Titanic's 800 feet long and sunk in 400 feet of water, yeah, she'd probably still capsize. She wouldn't tilt up as high, but I think due to the strain, if she sank just the same way, it would change up the sinking a bit, but she wouldn't have imploded, I don't believe. Let's see. Mary, or no, I'm sorry, not Mary, Marty, will you be covering any ships from the Civil War era? Yes, on my immediate list is the Hunley. I want to talk about the Hunley. Jason 5, thank you. In Jacksonville here. Oh, hello. I was just down in Florida not too long ago. Could you do us a favor and do a video on the El Farco? Let's see. Let's take a look. I'm not. The El Farco, or Faro. El Faro was a United States flag combination roll and roll cargo ship crewed by U.S. merchants built in 1975. It's a cargo ship. It looks like, was it in a storm or something? I need to take a look into that a little bit. I'll take a look. Let me go ahead and add that to the list. Thank you so much. Let's paste and put that in. All right, I will take a look at that. Thank you so much for the comment, and thank you for the super chat. Lisa D, welcome to the chat. Hello, Lisa. Hello, hello, hello. Bye, Jackal. Have a good night. Thank you for being at the stream. Let's see. The cutting room floor. Do you think a TV show about the Olympic would be good? Like the Hawk Collision? Probably. You know, just depend on how they do it. But yeah, that would probably be a very good TV show. Villa, do you like the Britannic movie? I've never seen it. I've only seen clips of it. Padme, a video on the USS Constitution it's actually still afloat after 200 years. The USS Constitution is definitely on my list. Christopher, will you do a video on the Oceanus? Of course, I'm going to do a video on the Oceanus. Let's see. Oren, please do a video on Mount St. Helens. Of course, it's on the list. Of course, I like volcanoes. You know, volcanoes are a particular interest of mine. Of course, we're going to cover it. Rishi, what did the Titanic stern do after the breakup? Well, if you saw that new animation by Part-Time Explorer, which I think is mostly right, broke into 2 or 3 different sections, you know, big parts of the Titanic superstructure. However, this is something that I'm going to make a dedicated video on because I do believe at some point, I do not know when, I do not know exactly when, but I do think that the Titanic stern at least partially listed to port because Charles Yelkin said in his testimony that he actually walked on briefly on the Titanic's hull or on the side of the ship. Now, does that mean I don't think it did the big thing like we see in that one animation by Titanic Iron Glory. I don't think it did that. If anything, I'd say the ship split, she settled back, and then as she began to go down, I think the animation that Part-Time Explorer did is mostly right. But I think at some point during the climb, maybe the Titanic stern did roll slightly as the stern was beginning to climb up. That would have given Charles Yelkin the opportunity to briefly stand on the ship's hull. I don't know. If the only time it could have happened, I think, would have been during the actual climb up. Like the ship breaks, settles back. Maybe as she's going up into the air and going vertical, she briefly rolled onto her side and then kind of bobbed there in the water like a cork. Maybe. I don't know. But I think that's what happened. Then after the ship slipped beneath the surface, the stern imploded and ripped apart and went to the seafloor. I'm actually going to make a video talking about that. But overall, I think the animation by Part-Time Explorer is it's as good as we can make it right now. You know, I think they did a great job on it. Let's see. William, hey, Sam, if the Titanic capsized, do you think there would have been more or less people survive? Definitely less. Definitely less. I don't know. I don't even know if 100 or 200 people would survive if she capsized. Remember, Thomas Andrews thought the Titanic would capsize after 1 hour. Coco, Sam, can you do a video about the Olympic? Let's see. I'm not familiar with that. The collision. Which collision was that? I'm familiar with the Hawk. Let me take a look. I am not familiar with that. That was I don't know that. Oh, that I cannot pronounce that ship at all. But I'll need to take a look into that. But maybe I will. Maybe I'll cover that in my history of the Olympic. Matthew, did any pets survive the sinking? I believe a few small dogs did. Mr. Aiden, hey Sam, I have another question. What do you think if the Titanic was a spaceship instead of an ocean liner? If the Titanic was a spaceship, well, I think she'd be sailing along. She'd see the iceberg. She'd fire up her engines and just go like my sound effects. I think that would happen. Sabrina. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Sam from the UK. Did Titanic sinking impact the White Star Line's finances and/or reputation? Well, I would assume so. As far as the finances go, I believe that year the White Star Line actually did have a pretty good year as far as revenue goes. But yeah, it definitely did hurt the White Star Line. And you got to remember, the Titanic wasn't a fully insured ship, so they definitely felt that loss. As far as actually how it handled the White Star Line's reputation, I'm sure it hurt it, but I'm not an expert in how things actually went for the White Star Line after the Titanic disaster. But I mean, I guess it still didn't do too much damage considering they had a good year in 1912, all things considered, financially wise. That's what I mean, financially wise. But yeah, I'd have to do a little bit more research into that. Actor, do you think the Titanic hit animals? Oh my gosh. Do I think the Titanic hit any fish on its way to the seafloor? I don't know. I doubt it. Fish can swim out of the way pretty quick. There was a very funny joke that James Cameron made in one of his documentaries. Can you just imagine, okay, just say my hand's a fish. Can you just imagine a little fish swimming along at the bottom of the ocean? And then the Titanic just goes, and just hits the seafloor right there. And the fish would have been like, whoa. Like, whenever I hear that, it made me laugh like crazy. Honestly, if I was a fish on the seafloor and I saw the Titanic hit, I'd be like, what just happened? Let's see. Millie, Sam, can you make a video on the SS? I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to take a look into that. I just lost your question. Okay, I'll have to jump back to it. Sorry about that, Millie. Paul, Sam, can you do a video about the passengers in the lifeboats? A dedicated video about the story of people in the lifeboats. That would probably be a really good video. That's a really good idea. Let's add that to the list. The story of people in the Titanic's lifeboats. Thank you very much. Let's see. Let's take care of that. Remove. Let's see now. Golden, was the RMS Carpathia made to transport passengers, or was it made for a more important reason? I believe it was a passenger vessel. I don't believe it was used for anything. I think that was the intended use for the Carpathia, but I am not an expert on that ship. Chester, hi Sam, I think you're amazing. Thank you. And thank you for all the useful info. It's useful for the art projects. That's awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Back at Garage, are they actually working on the Titanic 2, and what exactly is it supposed to be? Well, as far as the Titanic 2 is concerned, as far as I know, they haven't actually done anything with it. They've just been talking about it forever. I remember first hearing about it when I was in college, like in 2012, 2013. It's 2021 now. As far as I know, it's all being talked about by this billionaire guy. I believe he's wanting to do it, fund it himself. I don't think they should do it because I feel like they're just trying to capitalize on the Titanic name. They're not really. I mean, you got to remember, by modern day standards, the Titanic is a dinghy. You know, it's such a small ship by modern day standards that. I mean, I'm okay with them making museums. Like, I know China is actually building a museum ship to the Titanic, and I'm okay with that. But as far as actually rebuilding an ocean liner that looks like Titanic, well, it wouldn't be Titanic, because if you rebuilt the Titanic exactly as the ship was in 1912, it wouldn't be legal to sail on it, you know? So essentially all you would have is a ship on the outside that looks like Titanic with different interiors, or maybe interiors modeled after it. So no, I do not think they should do it. That's in my opinion, but I'm okay with museum ships. You know, like they want to build a museum that doesn't float, you know, it's a building, and make it historically accurate, go for it. That's what I think they should do. Whoa, 120 super chat and 125. All right, let's tackle these. CB Punk, a big 20. Thank you so much, CB Punk. Hey, Sam, do you think that, assuming the Titanic and Britannia didn't sink, that one of the 3 Olympic-class ships would still be here today? I read earlier that some wanted to turn the Olympic into a hotel at Queen Mary. You know, I want to say yes, but you have to remember the crash of 29. You have to remember how many people needed jobs, how horrible life was for them. I mean, guys, seriously, if you like, COVID is bad. Do not take what I'm saying out of context here. COVID is very serious, but imagine what it would have been like during the crash of 29, you know? Cause I mean, one of my, he was like my grandfather to me, you know, he was like my grandfather, and he passed away, about a couple of years back. A dear friend, I miss him deeply. He taught me violin, but he told me that he was a teenager living in Chicago during the crash of 29, and his family lost everything. They lost everything. And he, before the crash, his dad actually owned a candy store in Chicago. And he told me that what him and his family would do is they'd get on a trolley and go to a park in Chicago, and they would pick dandelions and cut the flowers off, because you can't eat the flowers, and they would make salads, and that's how they ate. I mean, honestly, just imagine what it would have been like to be around during the crash of 29. I mean, just horrible. So if you have 3 perfectly good vessels that are going to bring work to hundreds of thousands of people for years when they get scrapped, I don't think Olympic, Titanic, or Britannic would have made it through that. That's in my opinion. If they would have been around in the 60s, like the Queen Mary was, maybe they would have survived, but That's my opinion. You know what I mean? The crash of 29 was just such a horrible time for everyone, and honestly, I can't imagine going through that. COVID is bad, but the crash of 29. Cody 25, thank you so much. Leslie mentioned Liberty ships. When you get to World War II, there is so much with those ships that are still afloat and profitable. Also, Battleship Texas, she's still around. Museum ship, old Dreadnought. Let's see, Leslie mentioned the Liberty ships. When you get to World War II, there's so much around those ships that are still afloat and profitable. I need to actually visit some of these ships. One place that I really do want to go and visit is I want to go visit Pearl Harbor and go see the USS Arizona. That'll probably be the first video in World War II that I actually cover will be the Arizona. And I'd like to go and pay my respects to it. Like, I think that'd be a really cool little piece for the video if I can actually go to the ship and visit the memorial and pay my respects to the brave soldiers who lost their lives when that ship went down, you know? But yeah, thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I believe there was one more. There was a 5. Yep, here we go. From Guy, thank you for the 5. I'm late, but I made it. Happy Sunday, Sam. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the 5. I hope I answered those questions good. Thank you guys so much for those super chats. That everybody here doing super chats, that's awesome. Thank you for the great comments, everybody. All right, Chester, question: how long did it take for the stern and the bow to fall to the seafloor? Most estimates I hear is roughly about 10 minutes. That's about how long. I'd say the bow hit the bottom a little bit quicker because the Titanic's bow was just kind of dropping like a rock, and she was kind of planing forward. So think of it like she's dropping 5 paces and moving forward 1. So she was just going down like a torpedo. However, the stern section, she kind of did this whole spiraling, was just kind of spinning around out of control. So it would have probably taken it a little bit longer, but not much. Captain Alice, which clips of the Britannic movie have you seen? I think just the final plunge. Matthew, was the photo taken of the iceberg that sunk the Titanic legitimate? That's debatable. That's very debatable, and we will never know 100% for certain. Undertaker, off topic, but would you ever buy a boat? My favorite is supposed to be a Sunseeker. Yeah, probably. I would probably get a boat at some point if I lived near the water. I would love to have a boat, actually. But you know what they say about boats? You're happy when you buy them, and you're happy when you get rid of them. So I don't know. I have other priorities right now before I actually buy a boat. So number 1 is take care of my mortgage. Wed, the stream's kind of blurry. I'm not really sure what I can do about that. It's just YouTube kind of is funny sometimes. Whew, I'm getting tired. All right, Matthew, what was considered an acceptable death rate during the construction of Titanic? That I'm not sure. I know they actually did expect a few deaths on building ships because shipbuilding back then was extremely dangerous. But, I mean, I'm not really sure what they consider an acceptable rate. Honestly, no death is acceptable in my opinion, but shipbuilding at the time was very dangerous. Stefan, why did Thomas Andrews stay on the Titanic the night she sank? I mean, honestly, he acted like a ship's officer, you know. He was there to do his duty and try to make everyone survive and do the best job that he could to help people survive, you know. And I think Thomas Andrews was a very honorable man, you know, and he was actually not last seen in the smoking room, I believe. That wasn't his last known position. He was actually on the bridge with Captain Smith at the very end, you know. That's what time that, and he actually jumped into the sea with Captain Smith. Pen prop, it's your second shot that's making you tired. Take a Tylenol. I'll do that. Lawrence, when will you start a vlogging channel? Probably when everything starts going, when I can start traveling in. But honestly, I think when I start doing vlogs, it'll just be another series on my Historic Travels channel. I don't think I'll do a dedicated channel just for that because I want to share my adventures with you guys. You know, when I start traveling again, I want to start sharing those with you guys. And I want to go to Japan as soon as I can. Japan's on my list. But I think it'll be a bit before the border opens up. All right, everybody, we're coming up on the 1 hour mark, so I'll probably take a couple of more questions, and then I'm going to conclude the stream for tonight. I'm a little bit tired tonight, so I'm going to wrap it up. Benjamin, you rock. Keep it up. Thank you, Benjamin. Gaming with Leo, what happened to the SS America? I believe that we talked about that earlier. That was that ship that beached itself when the tug line broke and it just decayed over time. Vortex, could the Aquitania have been turned into something like the Queen Mary? I think that would have been really cool because it's just like the Mauritania. Yeah, I wish it would have, but you got to remember, they've tried this kind of thing before. You know, the RMS Queen Elizabeth. I believe it was, yeah, was it the Queen Elizabeth? Yeah. Hang on, let me double check something here. Was that one? Yeah, because they wanted to save the sister ship to the Queen Mary, the RMS Queen Elizabeth, and look what happened to that. You know, I mean, they couldn't maintain it. They sold it to Hong Kong, and then it had a fire and capsized. I mean, ships are notoriously expensive to keep after they're retired. You know, just to have a ship sitting there, it's extremely expensive to maintain them. So, yeah, I know we would all love to actually save these ships, but that's a really, really tough thing to do. You know what I mean? Very, very tough thing to do. Actor, how many people who went into the water when the ship went down survived? I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I believe they only recovered 4 or 5 people. That's what I think, you know. I'd have to double check that to be certain, but I know it wasn't very many. Let's see. Dan Russell, can you make a video if Titanic was a warship? I'm not really sure what I would do with that one. I think it'd be easier to compare it to the Lusitania, because the Lusitania actually had some means. I believe the Lusitania was actually equipped with some basic systems so they could actually put guns on it if they needed to. But I'm sure they could have improvised something like the Olympic. The Olympic had guns on it during the First World War, didn't it? I think I heard that somewhere, but I could be wrong. Blondin, $10. Thoughts on the movie Ghost Ship? Thank you for the 10. Thoughts on the movie Ghost Ship and how they modeled it after Andrew Doria? I really like Ghost Ship, okay? It's not scary at all, but I really, really do enjoy that movie. I think it's pretty cheesy, but it's a fun watch, you know? Ghost Ship is a good movie. It has its jump scares, and the story is very, very corny, like you would with any horror film. Well, I don't even know if you'd call that a horror film. It's more of a jump scare. I don't think I'd call that a horror film. But yeah, it's a good movie. And yes, they did model that there in Doria. I think that's pretty cool. Honestly, the movie Ghost Ship is actually how I learned about the Mary Celeste. That's how I learned about that ship. All right, I'm going to do one more question, then I'm going to wrap it up for the night. Owen, would you cover a ghost ship stories like the SS Ring Medan? Possibly. Did they ever confirm that the Ring Medan was real? I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure they did actually confirm that that ship was real. Maybe. I do want to cover the Mary Celeste at some point. That is definitely something that I do want to cover. So maybe we will get to that at some point. You know, we will cover the Ring Medan. We will cover the Mary Celeste. We will cover all those things. All right, everybody. Well, hey, I'm going to wrap up the stream now. I'm starting to feel that shot, so I'm getting really tired. But hey, guys, thank you all so much for being here. Same time next week, we will do another live stream, 7:30 Eastern time. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for all the support on the channel. Everybody who did super chats, thank you so much for all of that. Seriously, guys, all of you guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. And yeah, guys, hey, look, just keep doing what you do. You guys are awesome. All right, everybody. Well, hey, thank you all so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night, everybody, and thanks again. And you all have a good and safe week. Have a good night.